Salutations, crustaceans. I'm Lobster, and today we're reviewing the IYV IMM-305, a cheap bass that you can get on Amazon. Let's see if it's worth it. This is the IYV IMM-305, a $150-ish bass that you can get from Amazon. Now this is a particularly interesting instrument because it's manufactured almost entirely via CNC. I believe what they're going for is an instrument that requires very little human handwork to get out the door into the customer. So they're all going to be pretty much exactly the same. Now these instruments cost around $150, shipped if you're a Prime member, and we're going to see if it's worth it. There's a lot of really inexpensive instruments out there right now, some quality and some aren't. We've checked out some Harley Bentons that have really impressed me, but there's plenty of instruments out there that are just loads of, well, you know what. Looking at you, hard luck kings. What also intrigued me about this instrument was that it had 4.5 stars out of 5 on Amazon. Now, you can fake those pretty easily, as you can see phone cases with like 1 million reviews for a phone that's not even out yet talking about how well it refrigerates their food. So I checked out the reviews and they all seem to be legitimate owners, and there's only 22 reviews, so 4.5 out of 5 stars there might be worth a look. This bass features a poplar body, what appears to be maple neck. There's not really much info on the Amazon page other than all guitars with good specification. So, good specification? I'm not sure of the fretboard material, but it looks to be some sort of ebony or maybe a synthetic wood. I really don't know. For electronics and hardware, this features a Music Man style humbucker with a volume, tone, tone, tone setup. That's right, 3 tone knobs. Now there's a very large control cavity around back, so I'm thinking that they're leaving room for expansion with a preamp or some sort of additional control setup that you could install yourself. I think that this is a foundation for modification, or at least attempting to be. When I first put the instrument in my lap, I noticed that the pickup pole pieces were covered in metal shaving, so not a great look from the QC department. There were also a few rough patches on the neck, but those were quickly smoothed out with some steel wool. Now when I received the bass, the neck required about a 3/4 turn on the truss rod for some relief. For the bridge, we do have a what looks to be somewhat high mass compared to, your traditional Fender bridge. It looks pretty solid, honestly. I wouldn't expect a bridge like this on a bass that costs $150, including shipping. That being said, the hardware itself doesn't look to be in the best condition for a new instrument, but it's $150 shipped, so we'll see how it plays. You guys know what you need to do. Go ahead and pinch that like button so my hand will turn back to normal. Thanks. Okay, so after a bit of a setup, which required about a 3/4 turn of relief on the truss rod, this thing actually doesn't play too bad. Again, I had to smooth out some spots on the neck with some steel wool, but once I did that, this thing is not terrible, especially for the price. Again, I've played worse instruments that were more expensive. Hard luck kings. Now, one other little QC thing that I had noticed when I took this thing out of the box and put it in my lap, it is missing a neck screw. There are 6 holes, but only 5 screws. I just threw another screw in there for fun. I don't know. Okay, so tone-wise, this thing isn't terrible, but how versatile is it? Not very with the stock configuration. You have 3 tone knobs that do exactly the same thing. You have a master volume and then a democratic tone solution here where you have 3 knobs with equal power that kind of do the same thing. And then they vote to see, who's gonna turn this guy. Okay, so this thing isn't terrible. There's some major QC issues here, but as a cheap mod platform, I mean, $150 shipped, it's not the worst thing you can get. The control solution is a bit odd, but the neck itself, at least the neck profile, is pretty comfortable. The fret job is pretty decent for $150. Again, I've seen much worse for more money, hard luck kings. Now let's check out the spacing, because we really don't have any info here. So in regards to the string spacing at the bridge, it's 17.5 millimeters, and the nut width is 45 millimeters. So this is pretty similar to what you'd get out of a Sterling Ray 35 versus the tighter string spacing of the SUB and Ray 34 series, which I believe is 16.5 millimeters. Now I bet you're all wondering, how does this thing slap? Not bad. Now I know a lot of you have been asking me to show you what these instruments sound like in a mix. So I recently picked up the Beat Buddy. I'd hold it higher, but it's plugged in. This is the Beat Buddy Mini 2. It has a bunch of different drum loops and stuff built in there, so I can just play along. Let's go ahead and see what this thing sounds like in the mix. Okay, so yeah, that's what it sounds like in a mix. Honestly, it kind of just sounds like a jazz bass bridge pickup without the single coil hum. Doesn't sound bad, but honestly, this thing isn't anything special. I don't know, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Also, let me know what you think about the Beat Buddy. I think it's a nice addition to the channel. Welcome aboard, Beat Buddy. Welcome aboard. Okay. Hi. Yep, that happened. How are you? Oh. Well then. Whew. And we're back. So here's my final thoughts on the IYV IMM-305. For $150 shipped, it's not a terrible instrument, but when you're dealing with the likes of Harley Benton and Glary, who are much more established in that price range when it comes to budget instruments, it's going to be hard to compete in terms of the QC and fit and finish. And it shows with this instrument. The fretwork isn't bad, the neck isn't terrible, but was a little rough around the edges, and the overall fit and finish isn't terrible, but it's the little things like, for example, having your pole pieces completely covered with metal shavings, requiring almost a full turn of relief to get this thing playable. There's a few things that could be improved here. So what am I going to rate the IYV IMM-305? 2 claws out of 5. Though it's not the worst budget instrument on the planet, it's far from the best. And you can definitely find better value elsewhere. Would I recommend this over a Hard Luck Kings? Absolutely. Would I recommend this if you were looking for a cheap 5-string just to mod? Not really, but it's a good candidate, honestly. I wouldn't go out of my way to recommend this instrument, but I wouldn't dissuade someone from buying it either. For the price, again with shipping included, it's not the worst deal on the planet, and it does play, and it plays pretty well. You heard it. Well, that's it for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, join our Discord, and leave a comment down below and let me know what you think about the IYV IMM-305 off of Amazon. And as always, until we groove again.